Roll call 2 and 9 here, and not my, you know, down in my little man cave or anything like that. I'm waiting to go into work, to tell you the truth. But it took me a day to compress and figure out what to say on this video. I saw a lot of things about 9/11 that were in a negative perspective, and it's sad. 9/11 changed the world. It changed my life and my friend's life, to the point where people lost their lives. And that's what happens and more. But what's disturbing is the generations, after mine. Almost like my kids' generations and the generation, in back of them. I saw a lot of disturbing stuff on social media over the last day or two. And it was those generations saying that, who cares about 9/11? There's other things to think about, yada, yada, yada. We got to save the environment and things of that nature. And we have to get rid of the MAGA people. What they don't understand is 9/11 changed the world. It didn't just change the United States. It changed the world and the way the world operates. It changed the United States in a big way, called the Patriot Act. And I don't think they understand what the Patriot Act is. It's very detrimental, and it's a crushing blow to freedom in this country. That's where you got the TSA agents from, and all the things that you go through in the airport, younger generation. That was because of 9/11. I don't think they understand the concept of it. So that was very disturbing in itself. I even watched a video on another social media platform where the girl was saying, this is how they have to deal with trauma. They have to watch it every time, and they just can't forget about it. Well, that day, you couldn't forget about it. It was so devastating to the country. I don't think they understand, and I hope to God they don't ever see, attacks on American soil like we saw for Pearl Harbor during World War II, or 9/11, or anything like that in their cycle of life. But it changed the way they live today. Just not, what we went through to get to this point. It changed everything of what we do in today's society. Changes what you do at the airports. Changes what you do on an airplane. Changes on how to get on an airplane. It changes the actions of the government, of what they do for your privacy. Changes all of that. Not only that, it changed Americans. It created a lot of veterans during these times, and then leading up to the exits of Iraq and Afghanistan. And one of the videos, another one that I saw, was like, oh, the Iraq war was just so garbage. And we were like, well, yeah, where do you think the Iraq war came from? It came from the same premise of Afghanistan and 9/11. It branched off from that. Well, are you sure about that? Am I sure about that? That was the question. That was the question that was leveled to me after I said, this is a branching off of, the fight against terrorism. These people are so inept. Weak times make weak men, and I see a lot of weak men. And that's what I see nowadays. Not only that, when I woke up yesterday, there was little on my social media, unless it was one of my friends posting or one of the people I follow post, that have the same mindsets, because I don't really follow all these people that want to be talking heads and they're leftists, or they're left leaning, or they're right, or they're far right leaning. I don't quite follow those people because I have other things to do in my life. But looking at some of the posts, it was discouraging. And it was about the Queen of England. Now, we've had this discussion the other night about the Queen of England, what I think about that. But do you think I really give a shit who gets her dogs? Do you really think I give a shit what she did for the corgi population? I really don't. I wish they would teach the younger generation about the struggles that 9/11 imposed and where we are today because of those struggles. And that was nowhere to be seen. And then when people started bitching about it and started complaining about, like, okay, the Queen died, we don't care, let's start remembering the people that we lost on 9/11. It was, oh, okay, you know, they posted all this stuff about the Queen, and then, you know, 22 a half hour later, then they started rolling in their posts about 9/11. And that's discouraging. That's almost disrespectful. And one of the things that I really captured, that I'm going to screenshot because there's somebody that keeps on chirping at me over on the Facebooking, you know, they weren't remembering. Like, one of the things that they were talking about, let's remember the people that we lost there. Then they make it so politicalized that it makes me want to throw up. They're like, oh, they don't do anything for the firemen. They don't do anything for the police officers. Oh my God, they need health care. Health care is such a problem in this country. Nobody should do anything, blah, 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 health care, this, health. And I'm like, that's not even what we're talking about here. Those are problems in society. Yes, they are. But we're talking about remembering these people, the stories of where you were when 9/11 happened. If you had loved ones that you lost in that tragic events of September 11th in 2001. But no, they politicalized it to the point where, oh, it's about healthcare. It's not about healthcare. Is that an issue? Yeah, it's always been an issue in this country because the government has been buddy-buddy with, you know, pharmaceutical companies. But that's the mindset that's in Americans' heads right now. And this isn't a good spot. This isn't a good spot. I used to kind of push back on people in other chats that said, you know, oh, society's going to collapse. Society this. Society's in a bad spot, bad moment. But I always thought, you know, we can get out of these bad moments. We can get out of these bad moments. We can get out of these pressing times if we don't go overboard with it. But now that I see the more and more as we're stepping in to the fire with elections and, you know, midterms and special elections, and then we're going to have a next presidential election, I don't see hope for this country. I don't. You know? I really don't. And for a lot of these guys, you know what I'm saying, it's just detrimental to what we're supposed to be thinking about yesterday. And it wasn't thought of. It was thought of political, you know, castration of the health services in this country. And these 9/11 victims aren't getting any kind of compensation, and it's not about remembering, you know, what happened on that day. It's about the healthcare system. Or, you know, this is what that generation has to do to cope. And I think to myself, if this ever happened during your generation, I wonder how you guys would cope. Because I know what my generation did. And we didn't ball up into a corner, and we didn't have a safe space, and we didn't have anything that generation is talking about now. We signed a dotted line. Some people did it the day after, weeks after, or a month or two after, to give their life for their country. And I don't see this generation ever doing that in any kind of role or capacity in society. I believe that generation will crawl up into a ball, crawl into a hole, and they will shiver like a puppy out in the cold. And that's what I think about. Again, you know, we're in weak times right now, and it's going to take some really hard dudes to correct these weak times that we're in, because I see a lot of weak men, you know, and that's what I see. We're about to embark on some of the hardest trials and tribulations in our political system in the next coming months and the next coming years. And I don't see any kind of way out of it. And that's what I gathered yesterday. That's why it took me an extra day to think about this. And it's really disturbing. And we'll talk about this on Wednesday as well, because it's pretty eroding of what I did and other people that sacrificed their lives in the coming months, in the coming years, decades after 9/11. So that's just what I wanted to put out there. I think it's sad. That's all I got to say about that. Catch you on the next one.